Following controversial comments he made last week about Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, Piers Morgan has announced he will be leaving Good Morning Britain for good. An ITV spokesperson confirmed this news on Tuesday. For quite some time, Morgan has been highly critical of the couple, drawing both immense backlash from viewers and triggering an investigation into his behavior by a prominent media watchdog group. Harry and Meghan shocked the world on Sunday when they gave a candid and telling interview about their experiences in the royal family to Oprah Winfrey. They discussed, among other things, the relentless pressure put on them by the British tabloids and the royal family that ultimately led to Meghan contemplating suicide. Meghan also talked about how members of the royal family had inquired about how dark they expected baby Archie's skin color to be before he was born. The royal family addressed the allegations by calling them concerning, but said they would be dealt with by the family in a private manner. Morgan went on Good Morning Britain on Monday with guns blazing and a fire in his eyes. It appeared as if he felt personally attacked by Harry and Meghan's comments, further speculating rumors he was still spiteful for being cut off by Meghan years ago. We'll touch on that a little bit later, so stay tuned. Morgan called Meghan a liar. He repeatedly expressed he didn't believe a word she says, going as far as to say he wouldn't even believe her if she read him the weather report verbatim. Both viewers at home and Morgan's own co-hosts were critical of what he dared to say. Piers tried to save face the morning after by clarifying he does indeed believe that suicide and mental health are important issues that should be dealt with by professionals.
Mental illness and suicide, these are clearly extremely serious things. They should be taken extremely seriously. And if somebody is feeling that way, they should get the treatment and the help that they need.
But later stormed off the set after co-host Alex Beresford referred to his treatment of Meghan as diabolical.
Diabolical behavior.
Beresford called Morgan out for harboring a personal grudge towards Meghan, reaffirming her right to cut him off if she wants to. He further stated the facts by pointing out she hasn't had any contact with him since she made that decision. Immediately after Alex accused Morgan of trashing her, he stood up and stormed out of the studio saying, "I've had enough of this." Later that day, Morgan tweeted out he would be making his departure from the show. Britain's Office of Communications also put out a press release indicating they would be investigating Morgan's comments to see if they violated their harm and offense rules, after they received more than 40,000 complaints concerning his choice of words. So for all of us across the pond, Piers Morgan might not be that familiar of a public figure. He certainly has much more of a presence in the UK. Most Americans familiar with him probably remember him as one of the judges from America's Got Talent, a post he held from 2006 to 2011. But on the global stage, Piers is actually a pretty influential figure who has his hands in everything from politics to the entertainment industry. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you give it a like and subscribe to Trender if you haven't already. And stick around, we've got a lot more about Piers Morgan's life. Piers Morgan's early life. He was born in Sussex, England in 1965. His father was an Irish dentist, but died when Piers was just 2. Morgan's birth name was Piers Stephen O'Meara, but after his mother remarried, Morgan adopted the surname of his new stepfather, Piers Morgan. He and his stepdad were pretty close. He never knew his birth father since he died when he was so young, but grew up calling his stepfather Dad. Piers grew up in a middle-class English household. They operated a pub and were proud supporters of Margaret Thatcher. When Morgan turned 13, his family could no longer afford to send him away to a private school, so he had to leave behind his friends and assimilate into the public school system. While there, he was bullied with kids poking fun of his Pugh surname by calling him Puke. Later on in life, he dropped the Pugh from his name entirely. Some say he did this to separate himself from his middle-class roots. Morgan, however, says he did it because Piers Morgan was too long of a byline. When he was still a child, he showed an early affinity for the media. By the time he was 7, he would already sit at the family table every day and read the newspaper, skimming the headlines and talking about the day's events with his family. When he was a teenager, he started writing freelance news articles. He even sold some of his pieces to Cricket magazine and the Mid-Sussex Times when he was 14. When it came time for Morgan to set his sights on a career, he had already made up his mind he'd attempt to be one of the most famous media personalities in the UK. He developed this elaborate master plan and even rejected an offer to study history at Warwick University. Instead, he attended Harlow College, where he jumped in headfirst in the formal study of journalism. From the tabloids to the big leagues, Piers' first gig out of college was working for the South London News. He then joined The Sun to write for their gossip column entitled Bizarre. Taking a page from gonzo journalists, Morgan made a point to insert himself in the middle of his stories. He loved to pose for pictures with celebrities and getting all that public recognition for his high-profile connections. During that era, he was pictured regularly alongside famous faces as Madonna, Sylvester Stallone, David Bowie, and Paul McCartney. Being the center of attention was something he couldn't seem to get enough of. That being said, his methods were still effective. By the time he was 29 in 1994, he had already secured his place in British media history when he was named editor of News of the World by Australian media mogul Rupert Murdoch. Promotion effectively made him the youngest newspaper editor in Britain in 50 years. At the time, the News of the World had the largest circulation of any paper in the country. Being its editor gave Morgan a large public platform to espouse his no-holds-barred, controversial views and put on display his unorthodox journalistic methods. He left his post at the paper in 1995, not long after publishing controversial photos of Catherine Victoria Lockwood, then wife of Charles the Earl of Spencer, leaving a rehab center in Surrey. The publishing of those pictures went against the editor's code of conduct, and Morgan was charged with a misdemeanor that the Press Complaints Commission upheld. Rupert Murdoch distanced himself from the story publicly, but was said to have apologized to Morgan in private. The Daily Mirror and beyond. After leaving News of the World, Morgan took over editorship of the rival paper, The Daily Mirror, which he operated with his same signature provocative style. Several exclusive stories run by the paper, such as a damning exposé of the security at Buckingham Palace, thrust the paper into the forefront of the national spotlight. Morgan's critics often accused him of being too brash, and for showing disregard to people's personal privacy. Others found his methods to be too sensational. After publishing photos seemingly depicting British soldiers torturing prisoners in Iraq were proven to be fakes, Morgan was abruptly fired in 2005. In 2006, Simon Cowell, one of his close friends, invited him to be a judge on America's Got Talent. He stuck with the show for 6 seasons. He went on to sit on the judge panel of Britain's Got Talent from 2007 to 2011 and was given his own interview show, Piers Morgan's Life Stories, in 2009. In 2011, he replaced Larry King as the host of their flagship nightly news program on CNN. With King gone, however, the show struggled to draw in an audience and was canceled in 2014. The following year, he began his run with ITV's Good Morning Britain. His beef with Meghan. In an interview that Morgan gave on The Late Late Show in Britain, it was revealed Piers and Meghan became friends in 2015, shortly after Morgan followed Meghan and her fellow Suits stars on Twitter. He shared that they met in a bar in Kensington shortly after their Twitter exchange. But Meghan ended up getting an Uber to take her to a party where she met her future husband, Prince Harry. Morgan alleged on the show that Meghan stopped replying to his messages shortly after meeting Prince Harry. He felt like she had ghosted him. He further stated in his interview he had gotten so friendly with the Suits cast that Meghan would sometimes send him early copies of the episodes that were yet to be released. So when she suddenly cut him off, he felt personally attacked. There's been a lot of speculation that his recent inflammatory rhetoric towards her is rooted in jealousy. Maybe he thought he actually had a chance with her at some point, but then that dastardly Harry came around, swept her off her feet, and ruined everything. What do you think? Do you agree with Piers Morgan about Harry and Meghan, or do you think he's way out of line? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Trender if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.